can't believe what I am looking at. They have called this the Rosetta Stone, but it is from Egypt, and it was never ever called Rosetta. Never. The British stole everything, didn't they? They stole everything. And I'm here to collect it. Maybe I can arrange for someone to pick it up. We take it back to Egypt. Rosetta was never ever called Rosetta.
These artifacts, who do they belong to?
They belong to the museums where they are now.
Now, that's what you call colonial thinking. The very idea that you own what you looted because you looted it.
It was looting, yes, but there were laws. The looting of war was legal.
So had we looted your sacred objects back then and were holding them now in Africa, you think we should keep them, no matter how integral they are to your cultural identity?
These works of art, when they were taken, if they were not taken, they would have disappeared, because many of artifacts, African artifacts, are made of wood, and wood it was not made to be kept, you know, so it would have disappeared. They became works of art in museums because Europeans said it's art.
This is paternalistic arrogance at best.
The question isn't whether they would have survived. The question is why you think you had the right to decide for us.
Had you asked us if we'd like you to try and preserve them on our behalf, that would have been a different story. But you killed, enslaved, impoverished, and now gloat about your supposed superiority. If our art is so primitive, why are you hoarding hundreds of thousands of examples? Give it back.
Yes, it's okay to send them to Africa, but they must return to the French museums where they belong.
No. They belong to the Benin, Dahomey, and Ashanti kingdoms, the ancestors of present-day Nigeria, Benin, and Ghana, their rightful owners today.
Where do Africa's treasures belong?
They belong to the museums where they are now.
Now imagine this headline differently. Imagine if it said, "Where do Germany's treasures belong?"
For centuries, Africa has endured the heartbreaking loss of its invaluable artifacts, stripped away by colonial powers and collectors driven by greed. These stolen treasures, imbued with immense cultural and spiritual significance, represent the very essence of African heritage. Their removal from their rightful homes stands as a haunting testament to the deep injustice inflicted upon African communities.
These museums have locked up the precious legacy of 1 million people, and they reject all demands to return any of it. So by holding on to them and displaying them for a fee, Western museums are still benefiting from their colonial legacy, still validating their historical wrongs and injustices.
I love the Benin bronzes. I think that they properly reside in the British Museum.
Their empires have crumbled, but their sense of entitlement.
And I saw yesterday the Ghanaian government receiving 31 artifacts that were stolen during the British Empire's reign, and they've returned them back now to Ghana. Is it good enough just to return our artifacts? What did you do with them? The amount of millions you collected when people are coming to see these things. Who accounts for all that? Now it's good enough just to bring the pictures back and here you are, here are your things. You're dealing with thieves here. You're dealing with criminals here. You're dealing with murderers. Look at Kenya. No one so far has even come back from the British government to speak about the massacre of the Maasai during the Mau Mau War. And who gets accountable? And you want to talk about living together? Living together in harmony without being accountable.
And when they say we have no art, they forget that they have stolen all of them and they are to be found in the museums in Europe. If we had no culture and if we could not do the thing they say we could not do, why were they plundering the things that they plundered? Why? Because we had a culture, and what you do is that you destroy a people's culture and then you create another culture and make them think like you want them to think. This is what they did, not only to us who remained in the mother continent, They did it even to our brothers and sisters who are taken to the Caribbean, those who are taken to the Northern America, those who went to Southern America. They did it, and they took away our language. And if you doubt me, I want you to watch Alex Haley's Roots and see how the main character, Kunta Kinte, was beaten that he may abandon his name and acquire a new culture. But those who have a culture and those who believe in it will never abandon it.
Welcome to the British Museum, home to a lot of things that aren't British. There are at least 8 million objects inside here, and 99% of them aren't even on display. They're kept away from the public in private storerooms. Here are 5 objects in the museum that are used to attract millions of visitors every year. First is Egypt's Rosetta Stone, which is one of the museum's most famous objects and has been at the center of demands to be returned. It was the key that helped us understand ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs. The Rosetta Stone was taken by Napoleon Bonaparte's army from Egypt in 1799 and then taken by the British in 1801 after they defeated the French. These are Nigeria's Benin bronzes. They were among the thousands of stolen sculptures by British colonial forces in 1897 as they invaded the Kingdom of Benin, today known as Nigeria. They ended up in the US, Germany, Austria, and here at the British Museum. There are over 900 objects from the Kingdom of Benin in the collection. At the end of 2018, the British Museum said it would only loan some of the looted bronzes to Nigeria, but still expects Nigeria to return them. Next is the Yoruba stool, thought to be the first artifact that Britain stole from Nigeria while colonizing the region. The museum displays it as collected by British explorer Richard Lemon Lander. They even changed its name to celebrate the man who stole it. It's now called the Lander stool. This is Ghana's Akan drum, the earliest African-American object in the British Museum, which was stolen from Virginia during the British colonization of North America. But its roots go back much further. It's thought that a craftsperson from the Akan people made it in what is now Ghana or Cote d'Ivoire more than 300 years ago. Drums were played during the transatlantic slave trade, where enslaved Africans were forced to dance during their long and dangerous journey to North America and the Caribbean.
Now, I just presented you a clip of the Europeans and as how they have been answering those questions on that interview, and they come out clearly and say that they never looted, they never stole from Africa, they never stole African artifacts, they never stole anything from Africa, but they looted. So you know there is a difference between looting and stealing. Looting is a way whereby you can pass by a place and you find that maybe people are in a quarrel and you pass by some things. That's looting. But so the Westerners today, they claim that they looted Africa, but they never stole Africa. And some of them even claim that African leaders are the one who sold them these artifacts and everything that they have been coming to take from Africa, because they could have never come to Africa without the African leaders' access. So, and when you ask them about the reparation, they claim that all that was in past, so we don't have to speak about it. So today, up to this time, through slavery, through colonization, the whites today are still benefiting from it. Today they are existing from that incidents. Today the Westerners or these great empires are existing because of slavery, because the whites the blacks who are enslaved are the one who build up these great empires. They're the one who build this great Great Britain, America, Europe, entire Europe. They're the one who went to fight with the Germans to free France and other countries from Europe. So whenever they come out to say that all that we are talking about is in past, so we don't have to consider or speak about it. This is something that I think we as the black people or African, we have to speak about this, because now it has come to the point. We know the fact. We can't deny the fact that Africa was colonized. Yeah, it was enslaved. And there are some countries too which were colonized, but they have developed. Okay, they have developed. Today, a country like China, Russia, and other India, they were all colonized. And there was a time that economy were very weak than other countries, or most countries from Africa. But today, when you take a look at this great country, they are doing good. They are well packaged. They are well developed. They are the ones today who are funding some of the African countries for their development, their infrastructures. So we can't deny the fact that the Europeans colonized Africa, but we can still move on. But again, the problems comes here. We can no longer move on when these people are still coming to Africa. You know, they're not just coming to visit. They're not just coming for vacation, but they're coming to still continue taking from Africa. So this is the problem, because if they would have not been coming to Africa to this day, maybe we would have not been speaking about this, because Africa would have been already developed. We could have been in a certain place that maybe we feel like we're okay and we can again build and awake ourselves.
It is known that Africa only had black people. Europe had white people. Asia had yellow people. Now, it is absurd to say that we Africans were not in Africa when white people first came. And secondly, the conqueror writes history. They came, they conquered, and they wrote. Now you don't expect people who came to invade us to write the truth about us. They will always write negative things about us. And they have to do that because they have to justify their invasion in all the countries. It's like saying, when the Europeans went to America, there were no Indians there. It's ridiculous because they were there.
From all the damages that was created. But now, how can we do this when the Westerners or the Europe is still dictating to Africa? Today they come to tell Africans not to trade or buy some things from China and Russia. Today they come to tell Africa not to accept the influence of the East. But we only have to focus from the West. So it's like we are still under colonization. They threaten African countries, most of the African countries, if we continue associating with Russia and China, they are going to sanction us. America today is threatening Africa about the sanctions. So sometimes I wonder, what's sanction? Because today we are the one to talk about sanction. Africa is the one today to speak about the sanction. We are the one today to sanction America and Europe. Because if we today say that we are sanctioning America, it means that they cannot get access to Africa. And if it happens, then we are just talking about collapsing, but they will be erased from the map because they can't survive without African resources. They can't survive, they can't come up with all that they are coming to build or manufacture, because all that they are having today, all that they have for it to exist, they must come to Africa and take the resources here. So South Africa was sanctioned many years ago. But how today is South Africa? Because in Africa, South Africa is the most developed country. The fastest growth country in Africa is South Africa, yet it has been sanctioned for so long. Today, America and South Africa are still fighting. They're still in quarrel. Why? Because South Africa today has focused to build that relationship with the countries from BRICS, like Russia, China, and India. And that is the problem, because America feels like if they allow South Africa to move away from them, then they are going to lose a lot. As you know, South Africa is being controlled by majority of the white people. South Africa is in Africa, yes, but everything in the economy of South Africa is still being run by the West, by the white people. So Donald Trump is still benefiting a lot in the entire country of America. They're still benefiting a lot from the country of South Africa. So they can't allow this to happen. That's why you see Trump is still fighting today with Julius Malema, because Julius Malema is the only leader today who is still fighting against America and Donald Trump, because he knows the truth. He knows why they're forcing issues. He knows why they're so interested in this country. The country of Zimbabwe was sanctioned for 20 years. Today, Zimbabwe is one of the greatest country or a developed country in Africa, yet they have been sanctioned for so long, over 20 years. So it means that we are the one to sanction them, but not the other way around. So if they come, they have the gut to come and tell Africa's country that if you do this with other people, then we are going to sanction you. In fact, we need that sanction and see if we will survive or we will die. Because at this time, Africa is not at that point of begging. Africa is not at that point of need help. We are the one to help them. Let me give you an example. Today, we've seen just a few days in Burkina Faso whereby the African Americans were brought, over 1,000 people, African Americans were brought to Africa in Burkina Faso, and they were given opportunities, and they celebrated because they felt like this is another opportunity to life. This is another progress to them. And this was programmed by Dr. Rikana, who contributed all this enforcement. And these people were guaranteed the free visa and Burkina Faso identity, free identity. This was a progress. You know why? Because today in Africa, I know that Burkina Faso is one of the countries which is growing very fast and which needs a strategy and manpower. Because in this country today, a lot of things is happening. When you go when in Africa today you come, Burkina Faso is one of the countries today that's leading in factories and the companies. Today, Burkina Faso is having their own motor farms whereby they are creating their own electric vehicle. Today, Burkina Faso is one of the countries that is doing a lot of farming, tomato farming, and today they are the one producing this tomato, coming up with this tomato paste, and they are selling out to the world as a finished product, not as export. So this is an achievement. That's why you see, when we see this African American relocating back to Africa, these are progress. These are progress and achievement that we as the black people have to celebrate, because we are uniting some ideas and different ideologies. We are gathering this knowledge so that we can come up with the great things, because Africa was meant to be great. So these people, by saying that they never stole Africa, but they looted, this is a shameful statement, because today when you go in Europe, they're having great museums, the largest museum, which is making a lot of money, which is building the economy, stabilizing the economy. And these artifacts that they are showing out to the world, they all came from Africa. They came from Congo, from Zimbabwe, from Kenya, from Congo, from South Africa. All these great artifacts that they are showing to the world, they got from Africa. We've seen just the other day, Emmanuel Macron, the president of France, bringing back the skull of a Madagascar president after the country of Madagascar was erupted in the country. The youths came to protest and burnt up the country, making the president to flee the country. Now, all that they are coming to do, we've seen many white people, the Americans, the Europeans, coming out to admit their truth, speaking, maybe some of them asking for forgiveness. Their president bringing back some Africans things. It is not because they need to do so. It is not because they feel guilty of all that they have been doing to Africans or the black people, but it's because of all that's happened today. It is because of the hard situation and the harsh situation that is hitting them so much, because this is a way of them, they're trying to look on, to find another way on how they can come back to Africa, because today they're suffering, they are struggling, they are collapsing. So for them to revive the economy and stand up again, they must come to Africa to make a relationship so that they can get the resources to go and rebuild their economy, rebuild up their countries. But this is another generation. This is a new era of Africa. I don't think if there will be another time for this, because at this time, Africans youth are awake. We are against every puppet leader. We are against any submissive leader to the foreigners, because at this time we are fighting on how to put African continent on the African continent governance under the youths, because today the majority of African population is being led by youths. So we can no longer continue to give opportunities and chance to all these older people who are not who don't have any interest to African continent or their people. This is a time when you see the people or the young military are taking over their countries. It is because there is no other option. When you see Africans hyping their names, celebrating them, it is because we have seen that this is the way. Because we've tried to cooperate with all these bodies like UN, all these democracy issues, things. But it has proved to us that they are not better for us. That's why we're here to fight. We are here to reclaim. We are here to restore the dignity, the independence, the freedom, and the greatness of African continent. So all that they're coming to say that they never looted, we need everything that was stolen from Africa to be returned, to be restored. This is a dream of every African youth. So today, they have to say whatever they say, but the fact remains that everything that was stolen from Africa, the African motherland is here, and she's reclaiming his richness, which is being possessed by other people, making a lot of money, building up their economies, making the brighter life for their generation, while the generation of Africa is suffering. The kids from Africa are dying due to hunger, due to lack of medical services, due to poor roads, due to poor infrastructures, while other people are taking African richness to go and build their own, thinking of their own generation, their coming generation. So all that has been done to Africa, this is an end, and we have to stand up. This will not be done only by Ibrahim Traore, by Thomas, by Pierre Lumumba, by Julius Malema, and all other great people who are standing for the truth. But this will have to be done by me and everyone who is aware and he's following up. He knows the truth. He knows the history of Africa, and we know that we need the best for our own continent. We don't have, as a black man, whether you live in Africa or in diaspora, in Caribbean, you will never have a place where you'll receive a warm welcome than Africa. This is our home, and we have to fight for it. All that we are doing today, there are some people who started to advocate for this. There are some people who paid their own life fighting for our own future. So this is not the time of playing around the bush, entertaining the people who don't have interest to build this continent. This great continent is greater than anyone else. So this our responsibility to make that all that was created, all the errors, all the damages that were created, we have to correct it. So I will not take much of a time. Kindly, if you're new here, just leave a comment, subscribe, share, join my membership. Send me a super thank. I will appreciate it because you are doing great. And from this, I am going to do my best to make sure that I deliver the best you need because I'm here to do this. And whenever you come to appreciate and use support, I feel like I'm doing something that you need or you deserve. And I'll make sure that I respond to every question that pops in my comment section because we have to share, we have to communicate, we have to share our ideas. Put out your views so that you can know all that we have that need to be done so that to make African continent stronger as was intended by our ancestors who died with the much pain from all that they passed through during the time of slavery. Until next time, come do the same. Thank you very much for being here each and every time. I appreciate your support because you are doing great. Until next time, come do the same. Thank you and be blessed reaching from.